Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are being safe and are doing well. I know the second wave of COVID has hit us really hard. I think we're like up to 10 cases a day now, which is pretty insane considering that we're a small country, and you know, we're a small hardened country at that. So I just hope you guys are being safe. Wear your mask, just take every precaution you can to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones, because you really can't rely on other humans at this point in time. People are clearly showing us that, so you have to do your part to take care of yourself. Today's video is the long overdue story time. I know I said I would do these like once a month, but honestly, makeup has been like so crazy lately. Like, I get a lot of requests and I'm trying to fulfill as much as I can as I go. So please bear with me, and thank you if you are just here for story times. Thank you for coming to watch. So this story time actually is an extension of my last story time video, so I'll leave it linked in a card up here, as well as I'll leave it linked in the description box below. If you haven't seen that one, you can go check it out, but you don't really need that video to get context as to what I am about to divulge, because honestly, I should have like candles lighting and some crystals.
I use baby oil, I use castor oil, I use oil from the car. I even call Marshall to take him to Tokolokola, and I call Bungie to give him the brrr. I use salt.
Because this was intense. So without further ado, if you want to hear about my ex from hell, who we'll call Lucifer by the way, then keep watching. I really was contemplating like having a glass of wine or a beer during this video, but I don't know who I couldn't. I cannot hold my alcohol to save my life, so let me just go and dry. So at the end of my last storytime video, where it was about like basically my worst date ever, at the end of that very same night, I happened to meet another guy. And this guy is the ex from hell I am about to, well, let you all see and get to know. First things first, we're gonna name the guy Lucifer. It just seems fitting. Secondly, if you do know me personally, publicly, privately, and you know who this individual is that I'm talking about, because I would have shared him on my social media like years ago, because that's when we were together. This is in no way, shape or form a video of hate. It's just a video, like it's a story time basically. Like, I'm talking to my friends. This is how I would relay shit to my friends. So this is not meant in any way for anyone to send hate towards him. Don't go spreading hate to anyone. Don't attack anyone. Just leave it right here. So let's backtrack to 2013, which is when I met him. And like I mentioned in my last story time, my girlfriend and I ended up hanging out and just having like a fun girls night. So we decided to walk back to the movie theater. So we were walking back, and as we were walking back there, I just happened to see two guys on the corner of the curb that was leading to the movie theater. So obviously we had to pass them to get there. So as we were passing them, I think one of them was smoking, which was Lucifer. He was smoking a cigarette, and our eyes just happened to meet. Like, I saw him from far, I'm not gonna lie, and I was telling my friend like, oh, I think he was kind of cute. You know, like, you know, he had a little body, he had a little muscles, and I just thought he was, you know, he was handsome. So we passed next to him, and his eyes caught my eyes, and you know, we just kind of locked, like, you know, that kind of stare. And well, that's how it started. We ended up all just going back to where we originally were, like having drinks and eating dinner and stuff. And that very same night, he called. So during the course of that call, he told me a lot more about himself and like his living situation, his background, and I got to realize that this person is very, very sad. And I don't know if I should generalize this for all women, but I tend to feel sorry, just like a lot of other women, I should say, we feel sorry for the dudes, you know, and we think, oh, he's broken, we can help him, you know, we can show him true love and all of that stupidness. So I felt sorry for the dude. Like, his stories of his life was just so intense that I ended up crying on the phone. And he was like, you don't even know me and you're crying. And I was just like, well, you have such a sad life. So I just, you know, I empathized with him. Fast forward now, of course we started dating or whatever, and he was actually the first dude I brought home. That was really big for me because I'm very private when it comes to my dating life and just dating in general, but I don't really bring anyone home and that type of thing, and that's just for personal reasons. Like, if I'm bringing someone home, I have to make sure this person is serious about me. We're not just playing the fool here, because these are my parents. Once my family is involved, I take my family very serious. I hold them very dear to my heart. So if I'm bringing someone around my family, you better be friggin' with it. And he was not. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, but I will say that my mom definitely sent something off with this individual, and her and I actually had a lot of arguments over this, because long story short, let me just keep it real, she didn't like him. She just, her vibe did not sit well with him, her blood did not take him, and she would tell me this. She was like, you sure you like this boy, your thing, whatever, and I'm just like, well, yeah, like, man, I would get so defensive about it, because at the time it was like we were a couple months in, and yeah, I really liked him. One of the first red flags with this dude was that everyone around him seemed to hate him, and I always thought, because this is what he relayed to me, that this one did this to him, this one said that about him, this one did this to get him demoted or some kind of crap, and I of course would believe it, because this is my boyfriend. Why would he lie to me? I don't know these people. So it was strange that everyone in this guy's life had an issue with him. So there I was, not thinking, okay, well, this seems to be an individual's problem, because it can't be that everyone around you is fucked up and you're Mr. Perfect. Secondly, he was a racist, and it completely disgusted me. But like I said, I was in love, and I was just thinking maybe one day he'll change, because a lot of my friends, associates and colleagues at the time, because I was working, were of a different race, the same race that he just hates for no friggin' reason, no real reason. So that was one. And another thing was that he was very angry, like all of the time. He was emotionally closed off, like he wasn't loving. Like when he called, he would say like, love you and I love you too, blah blah blah, but it had no real genuine meaning behind it. And I don't even know which number I reached, because this dude just had so many red flags. He was never interested in marriage or children, and his reason for that is because he is renting and he didn't feel financially stable enough to have a family and all of that. And I was just like, oh well, all right, okay, it's not like I'm pressuring anyone to get married anytime soon, but it did worry me that for the future, when it is I do want these things, it doesn't even make sense staying with someone who doesn't want these things, you know. So that also had me worried. Also, he was very possessive of me, in that if I come home from work just a little bit late, he would, you know, question me a lot. He would call on my phone, and I hate my phone ringing in general. And he was, yeah, he was a little bit violent. Like, I've heard stories about him from other people, and this is like after, and yeah, it completely disgusted me. So the shit really started to hit the fan when I found him sexting. And I know I would just have like really eerie feelings, and I trust my vibe a lot. And sometimes when I'm home, he would, you know, call and say good night, love you, whatever, whatever. Yet when I go on Facebook, I see him posting, he's online, he's liking some female picture, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, okay. So I would message him and be like, I thought you were asleep. and he was like, well, XYZ. He always had an excuse because he is very manipulative like that, and I would just shrug it off and move on. So one of his hobbies was going to the gym. He was very buff, and he was big. He had a lot of muscles, etc., and he would post a lot of selfies on Facebook. He was extremely vain, full of himself. He was nice, so nothing wrong with that, do you, boo boo? But what I noticed was that every time he would post a selfie, he is not just tagging me, he's tagging like a bunch of different people, like 1 or 2 guys from the gym that he works out with, and then like 90% of the other tags are females. And I'm just like, why would my boyfriend be tagging a bunch of females in his photos? So it started to like raise little flags in my head. And when I would go like spend time with him, which is more or less like on a weekend, when he would go to the bathroom, I'm not gonna lie, I snooped, because something just was not sitting well with my soul. So I started seeing sexting messages to multiple girls, not just one, but multiple women. And these DMs are not really even women who reached out to him. At least in the messages that I saw, he was the one initiating the conversations, and those conversations got real hot real fast. And some of them were like when I was even in the next room. Some of them were when I just left to go back home. It was pretty alarming. It was really disgusting, because I was a very good girlfriend to him, and I cared for him a lot. Like, I never gave him a reason to go and do these things. And the mere fact that I had you in my home, dog. You were in my fucking house. My parents like you. My mom eventually came around, but my dad had no issues with you. In fact, when he came here, he didn't even have a car, so my dad would have to drop him back home. My dad had no issues with that whatsoever. I will admit, I was very timid at that time. I never had like such a serious relationship in terms of bringing someone home and all of that. So I was still very much learning, like, how do I deal with this? And I didn't talk to anyone about it because I was so ashamed. Speaking of ashamed, it was one of the reasons why I would post a lot of pictures on my social media, especially Facebook, with him and me hugging up, looking all happy. We looked like the perfect couple. We truly did, and I did not want anything to defile that. So every opportunity we had for a photo, your girl took advantage, because I did not want anyone to know the hurt and the sadness that was happening within our relationship. So I don't even think he even realized, because he thought everything was fine. This time I was like friggin' dying on the inside. I started becoming a little bit more brave in standing up to him. And especially when he was being racist, I would say things like, that's not appropriate to say about people, like how you would like if someone said that about you. And he would get so upset and angry that, one, I wasn't agreeing with him, and two, because I was standing up against him, he would just be like, oh, you're a so-and-so lover. I would honestly feel to vomit, cuss, and just hit him at the same time. Like, I was just so angry. And that is the person I was becoming, a very angry person, because of what I was in. And I even had my supervisor at the time. She and I were really close, as well as another co-worker, who is actually the co-worker that was there the night that we met. And they would tell me, you changed, and like not in a good way. You just changed, your whole energy changed, you're not fun and bubbly anymore. And I would just laugh it off and just feel like, okay, well, they don't understand, because you have a man, and things just change. People change when they're in relationships. The only thing I didn't see wrong was that I changed for the worse. And I really wish I did step back and listen to what they were saying about me, because I didn't even realize my whole personality changed when I was with this man. So fast forward now to 2014, like mid 2014. At this point in time, I was genuinely sad and depressed because of this relationship, but I didn't know how to get out, and I didn't know who to talk to about it because at that time, you know, my friends were in relationships and I felt ashamed to be the one with all of these relationship issues, and also I didn't want to burden anyone with my issues. I wanted to figure it out on my own. And so fast forward to December of 2014, where, you know, companies are having like their Christmas events and whatnot. So naturally the company that I was working for had their Christmas party at a really bougie, really pretty, nice place. And this company does allow you to bring a spouse or a partner or a date, basically. So naturally I asked him if, you know, he would go with me, and his first answer is always no. He's like, no, I don't like them saying, you know, I don't like to be around people. So, I mean, who the fuck says that? Anyway, he did, and he saw that, you know, I got sad obviously for a couple of days. I wasn't really interested in talking to him, and he eventually came around and said he would go, which is like really annoying because he never wanted to attend any events with me, like family events, like just regular family lives that we're having. He never wanted to go. In fact, he never did. And this one time, it was probably the most fucking embarrassing thing I've ever been through with him, in that my cousin was having like a pool party at her house, and she invited us, of course, and she's like, hey, bring Lucifer, ting. So I did, and obviously he kicked up a fuss. He didn't want to go. He real fighted down, and eventually, you know, after me quarreling, cussing and crying, he then decided to go, because this is like more than a year and a half of our relationship has gone by and no one in my family has seen you except my parents and my brother. Like, it's really odd. So of course he got upset and, you know, threw up his arms, and he's like, okay, fine, he'll go. So he's already going with all of this attitude. And when we got there, he was so standoffish to these people. It's like, dude, these people, they don't know you. They have nothing against you. In fact, they're being nothing but sweet to him, nothing but nice to him, because that is just how my family is. And just anyone's family in general, when they're now meeting someone, they want them to feel welcome. So they were like offering him things to eat, things to drink, and he was just like, no, I don't want anything. It was so friggin' embarrassing. Then, not even half hour while we were there, this fucker asked for my father's car keys, and I was just like, for what? He's like, he wanna go in the car and sit. Like, what? We have people here. You are a guest in someone's home. What do you mean you wanna go and sit in the car? You can't do that, it's rude. And he's like, no, I don't care. I tell you, I didn't want to come. I don't want to be here. And I was just like, you know what, fine. So I opened the car. Of course, I'm not giving him the keys to my father's car, the fuck. So I opened the car, and he went and he sat down, and then everyone started asking me questions about him, of course, because it is a huge fucking red flag that you're invited to someone's home and then they go sit in the car. So I went out and had a good argument with him, and eventually he said he wants to go home. And I was just like, well, we can't leave. We literally just got here. Like, I can't leave. And I can't remember what played out, if it is that we all ended up leaving, or if it is my dad ended up dropping him home and then coming back, because homeboy did not stay. I remember that very much. He did not stay, and it was quite embarrassing. Like, I had to lie and tell him he was sick or he wasn't feeling well or something. It was just such, at that point in time, I was just like over him. Anyway, back to the Christmas event story. I know, I'm sorry that if this video is all over the place. It's just I'm remembering things as it happened, because I have truly blocked out this individual and these experiences from my life. So I really have no chronological memory as to what happened and how they happened. So the Christmas story now. This shit jumped off from the start, the very start. As we reach, it's natural that, you know, when you see your co-workers or your colleagues, whoever, whatever you refer to them as, you greet each other, whether it be a hug or a kiss on the cheek, whatever it is, a shake hand, you greet each other somehow. And I had a very warm relationship with all of my co-workers, and one of my male co-workers who was of the race that he hated happened to see me, and he was like, "Hey Shanada, I'm so glad you come." And he walks up to me, he hugs me, he gives me a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, "Hey XYZ, I'm so glad to see you, ting ting ting, yeah, you know, we're gonna have a nice time, everybody gonna have fun." And that's it. The dude walked out with his wife, and I look back and homeboy is gone. Lucifer fucking disappears. Just no Lucifer. It was like a fucking magic trick. I was just like, what in the demon is this? I ended up finding him outside of where the party actually is. So I'm just like, where did you go? I was like, what happened? Well, he starts off, "Oh, this effing mother so and so," called it derogatory term, "come and kissing you, XYZ." I was just like, that, but it's just a greeting. He just, you know, saying good night, nice to see you, whatever, whatever. He's like, "Oh, so he just can't tell you that? Why does he have to, you know, hug you and kiss you and all this kind of..." I was just like, yo, are we doing this right now? Because people are watching. That was number one. Number two, when eventually I got him to cool down, we walked back inside, and at the entrance they were taking pictures of everyone attending the event. She was just so nice and so sweet, and she was like, "Oh, give us a little smile." So I was smiling, but he wasn't, and I just kind of like jabbed him, like, you know, just, oh, I almost said his name there, oh Lord. So I was just like, "Lucifer, just smile a little bit." He's like, "I don't want to fucking smile." And she heard him, because obviously she's taking a photo of us, she's right in front of us, and she just like moved the camera so slowly. Let me show you what she did. She was like taking a photo, and then he's like, "I don't want to fucking smile," and she just did this. Her eyes were open so big, and then she just looked at me, and she bent her head, and she was just like, I know at that point in time that girl was thinking, "Girl, he gonna beat you tonight," or like, "Girl, what you even doing with him?" I felt so ashamed. Like, I was tired of being embarrassed by this asshole. So then my girlfriend comes across, and she's like, "Hey, you know, come and line with us, come and dance with us a little bit, you know, whatever, whatever." So I was just like, you know what, fine, I'm gonna do this. So I told him, I didn't ask, because that is like shit I would do before, and be like, "Hey, can I?" I'm like, "Shanada, you're a grown-ass woman, you're clearly over this man, just go." So I said to him, "Hey, I'm gonna be back in like 5 minutes, I'll meet you right here, I'm just gonna go dance with my friends a little bit." And he's just like, "Okay, whatever." So I'm there dancing with my little friends, having a nice little time. When I look to the spot to see where he is, obviously he did another magic fucking trick, because he's a demon, and he disappeared again. So I'm just like, oh Lord, what did I do now? At this point in time, I was pretty much boiling with anger, because I felt like I was babysitting this entire night, and this was like my first real company event. So I was really excited to be there with my friends, and he was just taken away from all of that. So I went downstairs to find him, of course outside, sitting on the bench downstairs. And at this point in time, it's very late into the party, so there is like a lot of people everywhere. So I approached him at the bench, like, why you walk out again? And he starts going off about how I was there so long with my friends. Mind you, 5 minutes was not up yet. I reached my breaking point, and I let whatever it was like just building up inside of me come out at that point in time. I cussed, I cried, I yelled, I stomped my feet. I was just over it at that point in time. And the security, a female security I think it was, she came over to check and be like, you know, "Are you okay? What's going on?" Of course, he had a few choice words to say to the security guard, but she honestly was not concerned about him, so she did not really respond to him. She was more concerned with me, because she could clearly see that we were in a fight, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay. So I did tell her, I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. It's just, you know, personal issues. It's not physical, so don't worry." And I called my dad, and I asked him to come and pick us up. When my dad got there, I of course could not find him, and eventually, you know, while I was walking and looking around for him, I spotted him walking towards our vehicle. He was like, I don't know, a couple yards in front of me, and I was just there like a puppy traipsing behind him. And my dad noticed that, and I didn't even know that my dad noticed that. But it was a very lonely part. It's because like I said, the venue is very big. It's like basically the main building with the pool and everything, and then the surrounding area is very lonely. It's almost kind of woodsy. It was very lonely and quite dangerous. It was quite easy for someone to just come and snatch me up. So during the ride back home, my dad definitely noticed that him and I weren't speaking at all. It was very cold. You could cut that tension with a knife. And when we reached at his place to drop him off, my dad had a few words to say. And I was so surprised because my dad never interferes in any of his children's relationships. But when he saw that something could have potentially harmed his daughter, yeah, he let Lucifer have it. He didn't curse. My dad is a very respectable man, and he just let him know whatever it is all you're going through, whatever issue you have with Shanada, I don't want to get into the business, but whatever issue all you're having, do not put my daughter in danger like that again. Why is she walking so far from you in a new and lonely place? Of course, Lucifer had nothing to say. He just watching my dad, but of course my dad couldn't see the way he was looking at him from the back seat. I could, because he was sitting directly behind my dad. And he is looking at my father like, you swear he wanted to hit my father. And it was at that point in time, I was just like, Shanada, this needs to end. You need to stop this. So of course, when we dropped him off, my dad asked me what happened, and I told him everything that happened. He was like, listen, if this is going on now, what's going to happen in the future? That's all my dad had to say. He was like, just know what you're doing. And at that point in time, I was just like, yes, some rash decisions have to be made. So I was ready at that point to just be like, yo, this is not working. I want to just be done with this. However, while I was in that process of wanting to end that relationship, he had a court case pending, and it got called like during that time, and I was just like, oh my god, what kind of timing is this? So I didn't want to be the girlfriend who's breaking up with a guy who really does have a lot of issues, and I mean, he has fucked up ways as well, but I didn't want to leave him during this case because it was a big case. So I said, you know what, Shanada, just rally it out for a little bit longer, and you know, just stick by his side throughout this, because I know this was like such a big thing for him, and I really was there for him during that time, because I did take time off from my job when he had the hearing, so I would go with him, and I was just being supportive as much as I can. And you would think after going through all of that with him, he would just be a decent boyfriend and just a better person, but no, he still continued the sexting. And fast forward now to August of 2015, where I was just like, I'm over it, I'm done. And how I reached to that point was I was out with some co-workers on a Friday. So you know, we up in the cocoa, we having drinks, you know, it's like $5 drinks, we having the time of our fucking life. And at this point in time, I was very carefree. I didn't care anymore, like what time I reach home, whatever. He was calling down my phone like crazy. Like my phone was ringing. I don't even know where my bag was. I think I left it in the car or something, but someone had my phone in their bag, and they were like, hey, your people calling you. And I was just like, fine. And I take the phone. I was really drunk at this point. And we are in Coco Lounge. Music is blasting so loud, and he's hearing this music in the background. He's like, what the fuck you doing? Where are you? And I was just like, what is that?
All of my friends.
Oh. Like, now that I look back at this, I'm just like, why did I not do this sooner? I don't know. But yeah, I just hung up my phone because I really couldn't hear him, and that's exactly how I ended that conversation. It's like, I can't hear you. Click. Bye. And it just so happened that that same night when I was there in Coco Lounge, I met this dude, and apparently he was a co-worker. I didn't really know him. Like, I saw his face around, but I don't know if it was the alcohol, but I was just like, damn, this guy cute. But we did like introduce ourselves to each other, and well, really I think it was more like my co-workers introducing us and kind of forcing the situation. It was pretty funny. Yeah, him and I were talking, and then we just took a walk like around the park, and we sat on the bench and we were just talking about life and just normal. Like, I felt so happy to have a normal conversation with a guy. But just being in the park with that dude and sitting on the bench just talking, you know, about life and just everything in general. I don't know if it was the moon and the stars, if it was just the setting. I felt so light speaking to this individual, and I was just like, Shanada, what are you doing? You are the most unhappy person in this relationship, but this right now in this moment is who you are. You like to go out, you like to meet new people, you like to sit, talk, have real conversations, and just not have anybody bring down your energy that bad. So I was just like, you know what, I love this. Whatever this is right here in this moment, I appreciate this so much. And it was just like a matter of time, basically a couple of days after, he called me, of course, quarreling for some shit, and I was just like, you know what, I am done. You could hear a pin fall. He was not expecting it, and I just laid out everything for him. I told him how I felt, how unhappy I was, and he never saw this coming. I'm just like, how the fuck do you not see this coming? You think I was happy? You think I was like Kate Middleton or something? What was so funny is that he immediately blurted out, he's like, no, I don't want to lose you, I'll marry you, come let me go and get married. And I was just like, what makes you think I want to marry you? I was like, listen, I'm not asking for a marriage. That is the furthest thing I want from you. You and I are just not compatible, and it's not gonna work, so let's just move on with our lives. So yeah, I ended that relationship. Of course, he called and called. I'm talking like 2, 3 in the morning. This dude is like calling on my phone. But honestly, I know this video had like a lot of negative stories about this person, but to be quite honest, even though I despise this person to this day, like I washed my hands completely of them. I don't wish bad on anyone. I truly hope that he does change, but he does have a lot to answer for. And also, I used to hate the relationship before. Like, I used to be so angry of like, I just want back my 2 years, you know, I wasted 2 years with him. But now that I'm getting older, I am appreciating these lessons learned during these experiences. So I am actually quite grateful to have gone through all of that with him, because I would not have been the Shanada that I am today without all of those things happening, without having those experiences, without meeting someone like him. So I am super grateful for it, and it really has grounded me in a way that I could never have imagined. And I just hope that you guys learn something from this. Don't believe everything you see on social media should be the #1 take, because honey, let me tell you, I portrayed the perfect relationship online. So all of those things were a facade. So don't believe everything you see. And that was my story time video about my ex from hell, aka Lucifer. I hope you guys found it somewhat interesting and had some positive takeaway on this situation, because Lord knows this situation needed some positivity. But anyway guys, I will try to keep up my story times. I apologize for it being late again, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also please check out my Instagram, because I do have a lot of fun makeup stuff coming, by the way. Like, I don't know if you noticed in the background, but you know, some Juvias came in, and I actually have some fun local products coming in, and you guys really seem to be enjoying the local content, and honestly so am I. So look out for those videos coming up soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.